Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we have the opportunity to work on a modern day classic. This one's 35 years old, so we'll call it a modern day classic. This is a Shimano. It's the GTX Speedmaster. It's the 2250 size, and it's sent in by Dan from Illinois. He's asked me to do a service on it. It's a nice spinning reel. This one does feature the quick fire release, so that you can cast without touching the line. You simply throw the reel and pull back when it's time to release. That will let the line out, and then it will flip closed when you retrieve the line. Well, we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces and parts. As we do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, and as you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. That's going to let you know when I post, and you'll be able to see if that's a video you would like to watch. Today we're working on one that was made in the 1980s. It's a spinning reel for fresh water. Tomorrow it may be a large saltwater reel. It may be a low-profile bait casting reel. You just never know. What this channel does is follow the reels that come into my shop, and you're essentially looking over my shoulder as I do the service on those reels. It will teach you how to service the reels yourself. It will also teach you some of the things about the reels, their design, their use, and so on. For example, this reel does have an interesting feature to it. It's called the fighting drag. It operates almost like a lever drag does. You set a first strike on your rear drag, and when you are ready to bring that fish in full bore, you bring it over to the tighter drag, and that controls the upper level. This is a rear drag fishing reel, and so any adjustments that need to be made are made at the bottom, not the top. What that means is the top spool does not have a drag feature in it. But we're going to remove that drag top spool now. You do that by pushing the inner button in and pulling off. When I take my pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. That ensures safekeeping, so that when I go to reinstall the reel, well, I'll be able to find it. Okay, we want to remove next the lower portion of this. That includes the drag assembly and that fighting drag mechanism. We'll show you how to do that. You remove first that cap screw, and then you unscrew the cap. That'll bring that down and away. And put the cap screw right in the cap so that I don't lose that. Put that into my parts tray. And then this fighting drag has a retention ring in here. So you want to find a small screwdriver or something to work that out. Never easy. Just be patient. Find the part where it is divided, and just gently pry out on that. And this may take a moment. And once you start getting it, you can walk it up and over and out. And then bring that off. This is a good place to tell you to take pictures as you're working on your reel. That way you won't lose track of what it is that you've done, the order and the sequence of these pieces and parts, and well, when it goes time to reinstall, you'll know where they are. This is a good place to take a picture as well. You're on the side of the reel that has the Speedmaster piece on there. Your fighting drag works starting there and going to the opposite side. So when you reinstall, you want to bring that piece on this side of the reel. Just walk that down. And then this is the control for that. And you really don't need to do anything with the control. I'm just backing it off so that I can remove the side plate at this point. But that control itself does not need to come off. We do have access to our rear drag assembly below here. We'll deal with that in just a moment. There is a lot of dirt and debris on this reel. We will clean that up as well as part of the service. There are 3 side plate screws that are holding the side plate on, so we're going to remove those right now. When I do that, I like to put them on my desk because I want to make sure that they're all the same size. Shimano in particular has a habit of kind of mixing and matching screws, so you're never sure if you're going to get a short one or a long one or a thicker one or a thinner one or whatever in the side plate. So just take them out as a precaution, and if there's a difference on the screws, note the location of that screw when it comes time for reinstall. These are all the same, so we can remove those, put them safely into the box. Next up then, we can remove our side plate. And one of the things we're going to want to do is clean this exterior of the reel, because as I mentioned, there's some dirt in there. I'm going to use a rod and reel cleaner. This one's by Penn. And a little kitchen scrubby, not the aggressive kind. This is a dollar store version of that, and I find that it breaks down quicker. It doesn't scar or mat or anything. It's a soft kind of a cloth. And we'll clean that up, and then that'll go into the tray right next to the screws that I placed in there. To remove the axle shaft, there's a tie-down clip here. We're going to do that next. Pull that screw out. And once that screw is out, there's a retaining clip. It's got two U-clips on it. Notice that there's a folded side on that. That folded side is going to go inward when you go to reinstall. With the clip removed, you can remove the axle shaft. And we can see there's a lot of dirt on the inside of this as well. That's another reason why this paper towel is on my desk here. It becomes a cleaning cloth. And with that out, we can remove the main gear and the two bearings, the crosswind block, and the crosswind gear. That'll enable us to clean the inside of the case. I like to clean the parts as I take them off. You saw me wipe down the axle shaft. Just wipe down the oscillation gear. These bearings should come off, but sometimes they get peened on there. That's because the handles get over tightened, and I felt that when I was taking this off. So we're just going to have to leave that one on there. This reel was made in 1987 or thereabouts, which means this is a 37-year-old reel. Somehow this has gotten over tightened. You can see as we bring it up to the shaft, what that means is that somebody pulled down extra hard, kind of flared that out, and now you can't get the inner race from that bearing off. So do your best to clean it up, leave it on there, and move on in terms of the assembly. There is some old dried grease inside. We're going to use a penetrating oil for that. Do the same on the crosswind block. If you need help, you can find schematics. Now, I wasn't able to find the GX directly, but this is a custom X GT, and it's got the same fighting drag features on it, so I'm referencing that. So a little tip on the side there, if you do not find the exact model of what you have online, try to find one of that era, and you'll do fine. That kind of works for, say, a pen reel, for example. Although most of the pen reel schematics are available. If you're having trouble finding one, or you can't find a good copy of one, just try one like it, and you should be able to be okay. I use a variety of cleaning tools here, using some cotton swabs, some paper towels. I'm using the penetrating oil as a degreaser, using a little bristle brush. All of those helps to get the old dirt and debris out of there. I wish I could get that off. I can't, so we're going to just stay with that. These are shielded bearings. I'm going to try and find my oil here and oil those. The oil will seep in, and I oil bearings. I don't grease them. Did have an interesting conversation this morning. A fellow wanted to move over to ceramic bearings for his offshore reels, but he said that the spool is spinning fast. He's afraid that the ceramic bearings are going to spin too fast. Not the first time I heard about that. But you can slow down ceramic bearings by putting either oil to slow it down somewhat, or grease to slow it down the most. Ceramic bearings by nature run dry. Okay, this is always fun. We're going to leave these parts to the side for a moment. I want to take the rotor off and just clean up that inner part there. You can see we got dirt and debris all over this reel, which is an indication it hasn't been serviced in a while. And that's part of what you do when you do your servicing. You take your pieces and parts off, you inspect them. If any of your pieces or parts are broken, you're going to need to replace those. And then you re-lubricate after cleaning. Okay, that's the rotor nut. It's a 12mm nut. The rotor comes off. You have a double-sided anti-reverse. You want to just check on this. The anti-reverse should stop here. Now we're going to remove this. There's a little wing clip here. That's the eccentric for your anti-reverse. You need to gently pry out on that to bring that off the stud. And you can bring your trip lever off. Now it's a single set. So if there is a feature that a lot of folks do not like about this reel, it's that it only has one stop, which means you cast out and you get an immediate hit, you're going to have slack line until it catches for the anti-reverse. That could be a problem. We've removed the two screws that act as the clamp down. Now we can remove the pinion gear and the bearing. Again, continue to take pictures. I'm taking pictures with a video, but as you get to certain spots, just do that. It's probably the best advice I can give because, well, I get reels in that I call reel in the bag projects. It's folks that have started the servicing of a reel and lost their way, and that's okay. I don't mind helping them out, but if they had some pictures along the way, they would have a reference point to come back to. We've oiled that bearing. I'm going to put that bearing back on. This is an artist's brush that I use for the grease. I use fishing reel grease only. This is Penn Precision reel grease. That's the blue grease. Really not particular to any one of the manufacturer's reel greases. Just encourage you to use fishing reel grease only. Nice coat of grease on there. And I like to work in sub-assemblies, so as soon as I can, I like to put the parts back in so that I don't have those parts spread all over my desk and confused with where they go. Quick little cleanup here. There's not much to clean up, but that's part of your maintenance. When you do that, you do want to clean it up. Okay, bring this back on, seat it in. Make sure that your bearing is flush to the plate. Let's go ahead and get those two screws. Put those on. And we'll set that one-time stop. I'll tell you about a problem that occurs with that from time to time. Take our stop, bring that in, and just like we had done with the opposite, you want to spread this again so that you can clear that little stud and seat that eccentric lever. Okay, here's a problem that may occur. You may put this on the reel, tighten it all down, and find out that when you come back, oh, this isn't stopping at the moment. Probably need to tighten that up. Let's tighten this up. When you tighten it up, you're going to find that the trip lever is 180 degrees away from where it should be. And don't panic. It's something that happens all the time when you remove that inner one. You have two choices when you put this on. I picked the wrong side. There you go. So just leave it like this. Remove the nut, pick up the rotor, turn it 180 degrees, and put it down again. Well, before I do that, I do want to continue with the cleanup. There's some dirt on the inside of these arms. I do want to oil the bale arms and clean up the dirt that's accumulated inside. So we'll do that with a cotton swab and some penetrating oil. I use penetrating oil as a degreaser, as a cleaner, general cleaner. I don't normally use it much as a lubricant, although it can be a lubricant. It's also great for removing rust and the like. And you can see there's just an awful lot of old dirt in here. My guess is it's been a little while since this reel's been cleaned. You can wipe that off with a paper towel. Just make sure that the bale is firing. A little bit of dirt in here as well. Get rid of that. Okay, so where we last left this was that we were 180 degrees off. You can see the two slots on the back end of the rotor. Those are going to go with those little knuckles there. And if we were off, just move it 180 degrees to sit on the other side. And then spin it, bring it back, and now we are located where we should be. And we can put that nut back on. I've had reels sent in to me, oh my gosh, I serviced the thing and now I can't get my lever back. It's a simple fix, and now you know the secret. All right, tighten this up, give it a spin. Spins nicely. Go ahead and get the tie down screw for that, and we can move back to the bottom of the reel. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, just leave them in the comment section. I do try to answer all of them, and typically I will try to answer them the next day. I would encourage you not to call. There is a phone number on the back end of the video. A lot of folks think it's simpler to call than write, and unfortunately, or fortunately, regardless of what position you may take, typically I'm doing videos, I'm working in my shop, I have open reels, or I might be out running errands. I can't return the phone calls that well. So somebody said, well, I left you a phone message and didn't get an answer, and then they send me the question in the comments section, and it's been replied to already. And just a word for you. Unfortunately, I can't be a 24/7 hotline. All right, we're just finishing mopping up on the dirt in here. That'll look a whole lot better. Before we do anything else, before we set the main gears or anything, I do want to take a look at what's going on in the drag system. This does have a clip that's holding it on, and the clip faces the arm in the back here. So we're going to take that small screwdriver again, work to one side to pry that clip out. Never an easy task. See if we can get it from this side. This is your drag stack retention clip. And it is a spring. This one's being a little stubborn. Looks like it's a two-step piece here. Once you clear the one, you'll clear the other. That's the clip we were working with here. Remember, when you go to reinstall, it's facing this arm here. Then we should be able to back out the drag stack. Take a quick look there. I tend to tap them to get these out. Some dirt in here, we'll clean that out. There's a series of 3 washers in here that's very much like a top drag. It has flat washers, and it also has the washers that sit inside. These are your drag washers. They appear to be in good condition. Clean the dirt out because the dirt will interfere with the drag washer performance. Remember your sequence on these. This one is your slotted washer. It goes into 2 slots in the side case. Tension washer. And most of these are metal tension washers, if you're noticing. That's in lieu of a spring. Some of these have the spring as the setup. You can bring this last one has got a drag washer on it. Bring that back in. Make sure you can clear your slot for that retention clip. Remember what we said, the clip goes to the back side of the reel. And that's it, you're set. You've cleaned your washers and reinstalled. Okay, we've already greased the top end of the pinion gear. Next up, we're going to reinstall the oscillation gear, crossline block, and the main gear. And sometimes this oscillation gear gets stuck because we can't get this bearing in. So we're going to try and set the main gear first and pull out, if you will. All right, need fresh grease on the main gear. We've oiled that bearing. Some grease on the back end on the drive side for that oscillation gear. And earlier on I had greased that oscillation gear. So let's put this in first, get that bearing set, and see if we can't pull that out. Bring the oscillation gear in from underneath. If you try to put that oscillation gear in with a stuck bearing on the back side, the bearing often can't sit in the case. With that on, we'll take our grease brush, make sure that we put some grease onto the slotted side of your oscillation block. Remember, we took the clip off from the left side, so this is the way it sits. It doesn't sit up that way, which would be upside down. Bring this in next. Seat it over the stud on the oscillation gear. And go to your parts tray, get your axle shaft. Light coating of grease on that. Bring the axle shaft down through the top of the rotor. Merge it with the space in the oscillation gear. Then you may need to turn it to get it into the cam and the block for your drag system. Okay, we've got that. We're going to bring the U-clip now. There's a double U-clip here. So the slots on that axle shaft need to be high and low of the crosswind block so that those teeth can fit in it, and then close it like a gate. Align your hole. And then if you've been organizing your parts the right way, well, that little retention screw should be right there. Those of you that know me know that me and these little screws don't play well together. I'm going to use a little dab of grease onto the tip of this screwdriver. Screwdriver is magnetic tipped, but when you have stainless steel screws, well, stainless steel is not magnetic, so you don't get that grip. I'll do this again a couple of times. You can all count along with me if you want. I think that's 3. All right, I think we got it this time. Alrighty then, there we go. That's all done. We have the bearing that we've oiled for the main. Bring that in. There's a shim washer underneath that. Next up then is our side case. 3 screws that go along with that. Now those 3 screws are all the same size, so they can go in any position. Like Henry Ford and the marvels of mass production for that, standardized parts. All right. This goes down. That's 1. This is 2. 1 more. Every now and then I'm asked about mechanical screwdrivers. Can you use them on fishing wheel screws? It does become tedious. This one's maybe not as bad because there's only 3 of them, but in some cases, particularly large ocean reels, probably have 5 or 6 or 8 holding the side plates on. Folks want to know about that. I do not recommend using those on the way in. If you need an assist on the way out, not too terribly concerned about that. Make sure that you don't strip the slots in the screws while you're doing that. Those things have a lot of torque to them, but overall, not a terrible thing if you need them on the way out. On the way in, I have a very different feeling about those. I am concerned about the pieces being shredded. The pieces in particular that I worry about are the ones that have the things like ridges in the side case and the like. So just be careful if you do choose to use that. Fighting drag is on. Remember what we said? We want that drag to be on facing the logo here, and it throws to the right. We got those pretty tight right now. Okay. And then we can bring our retention clip in here. Again, refer to your pictures if you had a question about where does it go. And you need to walk this down just like we walked it the other way for bringing it up. The difference here, you need to spread this to seat it last time around. So let's see if we can get this going here. Not quite there yet. Just take your time. Okay, I believe we're in there. Just make sure, there we go, now we're in there. Okay, bring that back on. It's cap and screw time. Bring this up and on. Screw. Always start these by hand and be careful that you don't cross strip. And give that a good tightening. And what comes next? These are interchangeable handles. So if you want to make this a right-hand crank versus a left-handed crank, you can do that simply by doing what we did here. Just remove that handle screw. Switch the shift orientation. Handle goes into one side. And this is what got over tightened here. Somebody pulled down enough on the handle that it peened out the center of that main gear, and that caused the bearing to not be able to come off easily. One more cleanup here. That pad still has plenty of rod and reel cleaner on it. And that rod and reel cleaner goes a long way. Whoops. Sorry, Dan. This is Dan's reel. I'm sure he's watching. And Dan did a good thing here. There's a little bit of a note underneath here about what the weight of the line is. It's a 10-pound test line. And doesn't have a date on it. I'd be interested to see because that just fell off when we did the cleaning. So that's probably been stuck on there a while. All right. Spool's cleaned. That pops back on. Time for a final test. Let's take that glove off. Okay, so what did we do? We took the reel completely apart. We explained the mechanics behind them. We showed you a little bit about the fighting drag, showed you the internals of the rear drag system. More importantly, kind of explained how the rotor works with that single stop, and if you have a problem with it being over on this side, how to correct that problem. Showed you about the cleaning of the pieces and parts inside, cleaning of the exterior of the reel, putting it all back together. So how did we do? Well, that's a nice smooth operating reel all around, isn't it? This does have a anti-reverse override if you would like to backpedal the reel. Not many people use that feature these days, but on a 37-year-old reel, well, that was a pretty prominent and common feature to have there. Okay, that's it. That's your Shimano Magnumlite GT2250 Speedmaster reel. Boy, they got enough things in that name, don't they? Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way, keeping us safe as we go about life. I want to thank you for watching, you the viewers who make this channel possible and help to improve it day by day with your comments, your participation, and, well, just generally keeping me honest. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.